Happy morning and a wonderful evening, Masters. Welcome to today's meditation and wisdom sharing session. So, Masters will continue discussing about this beautiful wisdom that is given to us through this book, Immortal Talks by Shunya. A great wisdom shared to us through Lord Hanuman. So, today we are going to discuss about the new chapter. Earlier, we discussed about a chapter called Strings of Time, where we discussed about multiple timelines and how the soul can manifest whatever timeline it can and live whatever desire or imagination that you want to live. So in the previous chapter, what happens is that in the last class we discussed where Chandra is a character that was lived by Urmi's soul previously. So Urmi's soul's one of the previous reincarnation of the Urmi's soul was a character called Chandra. And in that lifetime, Chandra went through an immense trauma. So where Chandra almost lost her child, and where Lord Hanuman intervened because Chandra has done an immense act of showing unconditional love and showing unconditional love without any expectations. She did her karma yoga part, where Hanumanji says that any person who usually does a kind of karma, it might be any regular karma or action or any kind of service, there is always certain kind of threads that come out with respect to that action. We do it, normal human or normal soul usually does that action with an expect of returns. So we do some service or some action, expecting that, we get good returns or we get good karma for whatever we are doing, even the service. Or we do certain kind of things saying that I get a fulfillment, or sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, we do those things to inflate our ego, the identity that we carry with respect to the society. So it's very rarely a soul does an action without any expectations. And Hanumanji says that, we have to do our actions and start taking responsibility to our consequences. So once we are taking responsibility to our consequences, our actions are are not just taken randomly. We think a lot, we do it with a proper attention and awareness. Just like as we go and serve the God, or whenever we go to temple, with how much awareness that we go, we dress ourselves, we try to be much in the present moment, we calm our mind, we try to put our attention towards the deity. So if we can do every action in our life like that without any expectations, but just living that moment to its fullest, then the number of karma and desire packets that we carry are automatically reduced. So here, when Chandra does that action without any expectations, even though those were the group of monkeys that were responsible for the death of her child, but she didn't even got a minute thought of about it, or hurting them or cursing her destiny or something. She just randomly went and gave them food because they were suffering, they were beaten badly. At that point of time, they say that we don't need to do 1,000 japas, or we don't need to climb Himalayas 1,000 times, or go to some place secluded and do tapasya, or do homas or yagnas or whatever. But just one kind act without any expectations, as in the case of Chandra, showed that it sent ripple effect in that dimension of devas and gods, where Hanumanji was deep in meditation. He got disturbed by that action of love, and he woke up to see what was this, who attained godhood. Because only a person who has that immense love, unconditional love, can do that. So without any expectations, with clear intentions of just doing what is required, of just seeing that other person as himself or herself, or with that oneness. So when they came to know that Chandra did this amazing act, this godly act, which is done by a human soul, then it is impedent that these masters, ascended masters, come to serve you, to help you, because they want to protect you. They want to guide such kind of a soul, which is going to create great reverberations in this dimension. So they will provide whatever is necessary for that soul. So that was done to Chandra there. So Hanumanji, Ashwin Kumaras, everyone come to help Chandra at that point of time. Because if her son is not going to be alive, then Chandra is going to suffer for the rest of her life with pain and suffering. So what they wanted to see that how they can help Chandra, because now the soul of the Chandra's son is left the body and it's prepared almost itself to enter into another body with new set of parents and everything. Now all they wanted to do is give Chandra's boy a soul so that Chandra becomes happy when her son comes out of the deathbed. And here Hanumanji and Kala, Ashwin Kumar, a beautiful conversation happens. It's more like a story, but the underlying wisdom that is given to us is that he talks about attachments here. Because when Kala says that, when Hanumanji tries to find out that, let us split the soul of Chandra, which is, however, 13 souls, because they can't split a soul with 13 T strings. I'm correcting myself, it's 13 T strings. So we have learned that where Hanumanji explains about each T string, each soul with its experience, the more experience the soul understands with this reality, the greater the T strings. So, and more advanced or a matured soul has a 14 T strings, and Chandra's soul lies at 13 T strings. So it can't divide on its own, it needs interference by some other ascended master, and even the willingness of the soul to do it. So here in this case, of course, the soul might be willing to do it because somewhere the soul is deeply attached to that identity that it has lost his son. So now Chandra's soul was willing to give whatever is necessary for her son to get up from the deathbed. So that was enough. A part of work is done for Hanumanji. But here, Kala interferes and says that I don't see that Chandra's desire to give herself or to give a part of her soul to her son is much, much less than Chandra's willingness to save her own life. And even though she's mother and she's going through a lot of pain and suffering, she's ready to do whatever is necessary. But Kala, the god of time, is telling this reality or this truth with respect to the karma and desire packets that the soul was having. So it's not about the outer reality that we are seeing, but it's the reality with respect to the soul. Then Hanumanji says that it is all because of this one thing called attachment. This one thing called attachment, when it culminates with all our lower emotions like fear, like anger, beliefs, our trust issues, our our judgments and everything, it will overlap with all these emotions, and it will curb down our karma and desire packets. So even though Chandra is willing to do whatever she's willing to sacrifice a part of the soul of Chandra is willing to divide itself and give itself the part of its soul to the boy of Chandra, but this attachment is somewhere diluting that portion of love, because Hanumanji says that true unconditional love frees the other person. It doesn't pulls the other person into itself. It is more about love. It is more about compassion. It is more about giving freedom. But when that emotion is infested by this thing called attachment, then there is a lot of thing called, then comes the two emotions, that is fear and insecurity. So here Chandra is going through that one thing called attachment. So sometimes we need to surrender to that process. But when we put this energy called attachment to that process, it somewhere dilutes, and even though some good is going to happen to you, we ourselves are diluting it and we are creating a bad out of it. That's what Hanumanji is telling. So for some things where you need to let go of things so that some greater good is going to come to you. If we don't know how to let go of things, if we are not ready to let go of these past actions or the guilt, the regret, the remorse, or the shame that we carry, if you're not ready to let go of them or accept and just make space and leave them from your energy body, the new blessings are not going to come into our life. So somewhere this attachment of ours, it might be with even happy moments also. Somewhere we get so stuck with our happy moments that we don't want to And suddenly when a tragedy comes up, people go into a shock. So somewhere we need to live in a path every day where you need to detach yourself every day before you go to sleep. You have to say to yourself that, okay, I have lived this day beautifully. I've met these people. I've learned all those things. Thank you so much. And just detach yourself from that point, go to sleep, and next day morning you are going to get up as a new person, a new day, a new thing. So that's how every day Hanumanji says that we need to practice detachment, because we are attached to things so minutely, so intricately, that all these things are in fact creating a disaster to your everyday living rather than a happy, easy getaway life. So here that was happening to Chandra. So her attachment was rather killing or pushing her towards a low vibration pathway or a timeline where she's going to lose her son. And Hanumanji is trying to prevent her from creating that negative thing to herself. So he requests the Pavan god, the beautiful wind god, who gives us vital force, who gives us the prana. And here Hanumanji says that even after the soul leaves your body, it's the prana that is still there in your body. So once the prana has left your body, then you are declared as death. So sometimes you might be coma, or you might be in unconscious state for years and years together. And sometimes even our heart stops for some time. But after intervention or something, with CPR and all those things, we bring back the heartbeat. But we can say that the heart is not functioning, the blood is not pumping, but what is keeping the body alive for that much time? So they say that everything in your body is run by this vital force called prana, which determines your death. So finally Hanumanji goes and requests the wind god, saying that you have to leave the body of Chandra's boy, because we need to give a paradoxical effect, because Chandra has to go through pain and suffering to create that, or to bring that spark in her conscious mind that she's in a state of illusion. This is not the reality. And her soul has to go through that pain and suffering to receive that godly blessings, because it's only through pain and suffering any individual has got a chance to realize that they are in the state of maya or illusion. Otherwise we are completely immersed in our, what do you say, in our materialistic world, that we are not no more in touch with the spiritual side of our thing, that it is the soul which is experiencing, it is not who you truly are. So wind god finally leaves the what do you say, from the body of the boy, and then Chandra goes into grief stricken state, and she now uh, thinks about this concept of whatever, which is always to be thought about, is who am I? Are you truly Chandra, or are you truly so and so? Is this what you truly are? So that kind of a spark gets ignited in Chandra's mind, and that becomes responsible for Chandra to split her soul, and one part of her soul goes into the body of her son. And then Chandra loses her mind, because she now has only 70 strings, 60 strings, and she's now having a understanding or an experience with respect to a monkey soul. And Chandra's son has got 70 strings, and it is equivalent to a baby human soul, a soul which is experiencing human reality. So the Chandra's son is fine, but Chandra has gone into mentally, what do you say, delirium state. So now, in the process to save Chandra, they look for another alternate timeline in the inner world, and they find out a timeline that could help Chandra to come out of that state. And in that timeline, they see a monk approaching the house. So now the monk comes into Chandra's house, and uh, now all the monk needs to do is split to a half part of his soul to give it to Chandra, so that now Chandra comes out of that state. And here Hanumanji beautifully explains that Maya, how does Maya works? And he says that Maya has two ropes to pull a soul towards it. So Maya actually works in two levels. So one rope is of negatives. So when you try to hurt someone, or someone is trying to point out things to you, saying that you have done this wrong, you have done that wrong, or someone is telling that you should have done things better, or this is all because of you. Anything that is pointing towards you, or any person abusing you with their words or with their actions or anything, if you definitely, our ego part gets hurt, their I part gets hurt. And that is the one thing that will, pull us more towards this Maya. And the other thing is that positives. So from either these two sides, the Maya always tries to put us in its clutches. When someone is overly inflating you, overly giving you the positive feedback, saying that it is all because of you and all those things, that is also a way the Maya tries to put us in clutches. So even though when the monk came into the house of Chandra, a lot of people were scolding the monk or abusing the monk, but monk did nothing happen to monk. He just walked the veranda as if those things did not even came into his vicinity, because he was so egoless and he was so surrendered to his higher self that nothing of these things were even visible to him. So that did not work. And the other part that worked was his compassion, or his what do you say, he gets immediately attached to Chandra by the way that she speaks and responds to the monk, because Chandra doesn't show any judgment. She doesn't show any kind of what do you say, uh, she doesn't judge, or she doesn't see the monk in that way. The monk comes and asks food for Chandra, and Chandra immediately gives the food to monk without any judgment. And in fact, she says that I am not the house owner, I am rather a wanderer. And monk immediately sees the greatness of the soul, that could say that I'm not identifying myself with this character called Chandra. I'm out of this illusion, and I'm no longer under the clutches of Maya, because somewhere some part of us always get identified to this three-dimensional reality, with our family, with our relationships, with our likes, with our dislikes, with our belief systems, with our nationality. And you can see this kind of I that is always there in us. When someone is respecting, what do you say, overly crediting your country or something, or someone is demeaning your country, you can immediately find that I part that is getting connected. When we say that everyone is one and we are more like a, what do you say, oneness state, we should not get hurt by someone telling something to us, or someone overly inflating the other country or something. So a highly evolved soul can understand that kind of a concept, that no one can demean some people of a country, or some part of a world, or some people of a country are highly what do you say, evolved or something like that. Every person is same, because the soul might be living as some Chinese people in one lifetime, or Indian person in one lifetime, and a European person in one lifetime. So where are we identifying ourselves? So this identity is creating an illusion in itself. So the monk got connected at that point, and immediately the soul of the monk got splitted into two, and one part of the soul goes into Chandra, and Chandra now has a part of soul from the monk, and a part from the of her own soul, and a part of Chandra's original soul is with the Chandra's boy. Now Chandra, she lives her own lifetime, and now the soul of Chandra is right now trying to get another lifetime, but it doesn't immediately go into another life, or it doesn't immediately reincarnates, because it waits somewhere in the dream world, because it is longing for its other part. Because now Chandra is waiting so that Chandra's son could finish his entire timeline, and he also takes a reincarnation. And that happens. Now this Chandra reincarnates into a new person called Urmi. Urmi's soul is now a part of Chandra's soul and a part of that monk's soul. And now Urmi's Chandra's son, who had part of Chandra's soul, has also reincarnated along with Urmi. They both are of same age. Now he's born into a person called Ravi, who is having a part of Chandra's soul. Now Chandra's original soul is longing to connect with its other part, and that longing is creating a seizure attack, or creating that epileptic attack in Chandra and in Urmi. So that was the reason why Urmi was having seizure attacks repeatedly. And after finally Now we go into the other chapter called as defeating death. So what happens and how Urmi's soul gets connected to its other part, which is with Ravi somewhere else, and how this whole thing becomes possible. So this last chapter, Strings of Time, is little, it might be a little difficult for people to understand, but once you read it again, I think you'll catch the essence there. So here Hanumanji is mostly talking about checking with one's eye. That is, when you connect to this reality, see how much you are connected with the identity of your beliefs, of your likes, of your dislikes. These are my thought process, or these are my beliefs. I'm connected to my country in this way. So what are your eyes? How do you define your eyes? When you see that, you will see that we are so much connected to this three-dimensional reality, with everything, through our emotional traumas, with various parts of ourselves. And that is how Hanumanji says that first identify your I and then work around it, because you need to be detached from whatever you're doing. Because once you are deeply attached with it, then you're creating more karma and desire packets, and that is going to be a huge part of you to not to come out from that karmic cycle. So always do your work with full attention, be responsible to the consequences of your action, but don't expect or don't see for the fruitifications of it. Let surrender the process and do it, whether be it's good or bad. That is something which you'll experience as a part of consequence, but don't get carried away, or don't get carried away by those fruitifications of your actions. So that will help you to be more detached from this three-dimensional reality, and that's how he was telling. And in this new chapter, uh, so this new chapter, Defeating Death, Hanumanji, after giving her the readers the complete sequence of how the past life of Urmi was and what was the root cause of her seizures. Now, Lord Hanuman says to Ashwin Kumaras that this is the reason why Urmi is having the seizure attack, and her disease will vanish the moment she comes in touch with this person called Ravi, who is her past life son, who is having half of her soul. So for that, Ashwin Kumara say that I think, Hanuman, that looks completely impossible, because now see, Urmi has never crossed this jungle. She is deep inside a jungle in a tribe called Matang, who have no connection to the external reality. Now Ravi, this person, on the other hand, he lives in a city that is hundreds of miles away from where Urmi is living. Suppose if Urmi is living near the city of Ravana, Ravi is living in a city of Rama. So their culture, their language, their background, etc. is completely contrast. And they have nothing in common. How are these two people going to meet? How is this going to happen? So for that, Hanumanji says that there might be, I think you might be right, there might be nothing that is common between these two individuals right now, between Urmi and Ravi. But there is one thing that is common between both of them, is both are devotees of me. Both pray to me, both look at me or look to me for their for giving courage, for giving wisdom and everything. So that is the one thing that is common between both of them. So now just for fun, Ashwin Kumara says that, okay, that's taken, that's actually right. But how are you going to do this? How are you going to execute this entire process, Hanumanji? Are you going to airlift any one person, either Urmi or Ravi, to reach a common place, just like you have lifted the mountain for helping Lakshmana during the wartime? Then Hanuman ji says that, no, we are not doing any of those things. The plan here is that we don't necessarily want their bodies to mate, only their souls need to meet. Because here everything is about soul. Forget about the body. It's just a character. Any soul can go into that body and live that character. So it's more about the soul. Here the work is needed to be done to bring the souls, two of the souls together. That is the thing that we need to work right now. Forget about the bodies. So the plan, what we need to do here is that we need to arrange a meeting where these two souls, that is the soul of Urmi, which is having 6 T strings, and the soul inside the body of Ravi, which is having 7 T strings of Urmi. So we need to channelize a way where these two souls will meet at a place and they will decide their further journey. All we need to do is act as a catalyst and allow them to meet at a place. Whether they want to live together in one body, whatever the decision the soul is going to have, that is left to the soul. All we need to do is provide a medium where they can meet. Now Ashwin Kumara asks, how are we going to do it? Then Hanumanji says that we are going to make them meet in the dream world. And Hanumanji here explains about little bit about dream world. He says that majority of the human world, rather he uses this word, majority of the humans who are ignorant souls, they are living in this cage called human body. They identify everything with respect to their body. My body, my problems, my beliefs, my hardships, my achievements, everything with respect to that body. So human bodies, when they get tired, they go to sleep. As soon as the body falls asleep, the soul inside that body will fly and it will enter into a dream world. We call this as astral travel. So majority times the soul in the human world, in the wakeful state, it will try to fulfill majority of its desires. We all have different desires to buy this thing, to experience that thing, to go meet this person, to go to this place, to eat something. All these desires, we have all these desires. And majority of time in the wakeful state, we try and do our possible effort to fulfill our desires. That's how, we move forward with our everyday life. That's how a soul does, an ordinary soul does. It lives its life with respect to its desires. That's how it is. So Hanumanji says that the soul tries to fulfill all its desires in the human world, but when certain desires become impossible to fulfill in the human wakeful state, in the dream world, it is going to happen. The dream world comes to rescue for that soul. So Hanumanji here says that a human being usually perceives the external environment with respect to the sense organs. How you are, what you are seeing, what you are tasting, what you are hearing, what you are touching, and your actions, like how you are thinking or what you are doing with your jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. So that's how you react to the external world. The external world is giving you information. You are perceiving that information in your own way, and that's how you're reacting to the external world. Now, when we are perceiving this external world, we are creating a lot of imaginations. And these imaginations are sprouting desires, right? So here, Hanumanji gives one example here is that, suppose you imagine a person called Mahesh. This person, Mahesh, is attending a funeral. His friend's father has died and he went to attend that funeral. His father has died because of accident. So Mahesh went to attend the funeral of his friend's father. Now, when he's in that environment, he's seeing those people crying, he's hearing what people were saying, that this bus came, he was crossing this and something happened, and all these complete explanations. He's hearing to all this news and the entire process of how he met with the accident, what happened in the hospital and everything. So now Mahesh is perceiving the external environment through his sense organs. So suddenly a thought triggers in Mahesh that what if my father also died in an accident? Now this thought will create a subtle imagination, very small imagination, not he doesn't imagine it completely, but just a thought has sprouted, and he might think what would have happened, and a subtle, very small, subtle, minute imagination comes up. And he might even imagine where his father, a scene of his father's death. Just like a minute second, it will come and go. Because he has been listening to this, right? He's in that environment, he's perceiving that environment in that way. Now, if that imagination reaches the soul, if he keeps on thinking about it repeatedly, and it touches a part of your soul, then it becomes a desire. Not every thought becomes a desire. You need to understand that if you keep on thinking about it repeatedly, and your soul integrates that thought, then your soul wants to experience it. So now it becomes a part of a desire that is yet to be experienced. So now here Hanumanji says that now if everything is happening like that, imagine how many desires how many thoughts are sprouting in a given day. The time you are getting up from your bed and the time you are sleeping back into your bed, you are going out, you are meeting people, you are experiencing the outside reality. So imagine how many thoughts might be sprouted in your subconscious mind. You might not be conscious of everything. So if every thought is giving you a desire, if soul wants to live every desire, then you are just stuck here like forever. So here Hanumanji says that here the Mahesh's mind, for instance, if it generates a counter thought or a side thought to kill the imagination. So now a thought came into Mahesh's mind while he was perceiving that funeral place. He thought came that what if my father also died because of this accident, and an imagination sprouted. Now immediately Mahesh's mind itself will give a counter thought saying that no, I am completely protected. Nothing will happen to my father. God is protecting my family. So if a counter thought is given, then that desire will curve there only. It won't, that imagination won't finally culminate into a desire. It's just stopped there. So if that mind fails to abstract that imagination, then it reaches the soul, because the Mahesh is now repeatedly thinking that his father might get an accident. He's doing it repeatedly, which means that it goes to the soul. Now the soul wants to experience. What if that experience, how the soul is gonna feel when that kind of incident happen with Mahesh. So now if the mind is not counteracting here or not giving an opposite thought to what Mahesh was thinking, if the mind has failed to abstract the imagination, then obviously that imagination has reached the soul. Now it has become a part of soul's desire. So now the soul wants to get rid of this desire somehow. So we have talked that not every desire becomes a reality in this human conscious wakeful state. So now, but the soul wants to get rid of that desire. So what is the soul gonna do? So now the soul would enter a scene where Mahesh's father had an accident and died. Except this scene would be in the dream world, not in the wakeful human world. So here Hanumanji says that hundreds of imaginations sprout in human mind every day, and plenty of them might not turn into reality. So plenty of them turn into desires, and the soul is burdened with these desires, and it will make the soul difficult to move forward in the body, in the human world. So to get rid of these unwanted, unnecessary desires, how much ever is possible, the soul will leave the body in the sleep state, and it goes into the dream world or the astral world, where it will acquire different bodies, not the same body, different bodies, and fulfill various desires through them. So if Mahesh gets a dream immediately where he might be in a different state or whatever situation it is, that he's experiencing his death, the death of his father in the dreams, then it means that the soul of the Mahesh has got rid of the desire in the dream world. Because if that would have happened in the human world, then it will create a real grief, and the whole timeline would be in a different way. So sometimes Hanumanji is trying to explain that many of our dreams that we get in our day-to-day life, the soul is trying to experience our desires that are deep down attached to our soul, that is preventing the soul to move forward. So in the process of evolution, the soul wants to get rid of those desires somehow or the other. So all this thing will happen in the dream world. So for that, Hanumanji gives an example of this character called Mahesh. So here, Urmi is right now is born in this Matang tribe. She is in a highly evolved soul, because normal people don't get that opportunity to be born in that tribe, because this tribe is very close to Hanuman, and Hanumanji directly, teaches them or guides them on how to go through this state of Maya that we are in. And they are under the direct protection of Hanumanji, and only a very evolved soul can reach that state. So Urmi, the soul that is having, that she is living with, which is having 60 strings, is somewhere, trying to consistently having the desire to meet the other part of its soul, which was living in this character called Ravi, miles and miles away. So that desire was impossible to be fulfilled in this human world. So now she can fulfill her desire in the dream world. And Urmi always used to have these dreams where she was grieving endlessly. A picture used to come in the dream where, she's crying and crying for her lost son or something like that. So she's grieving for something. And Urmi always felt that a part of her has been lost. She always felt that she's not complete. So that feeling was there with Urmi always. So now what happens is that Hanumanji is trying to make Urmi's soul and Ravi's soul to meet in the dream world. So for that, Hanumanji gave us an understanding of how dream world is. So now what happens right now, Urmi is under a seizure attack. She has gone through a fits or epilepsy. And now she's sitting nicely under a tree. Now the soul of Urmi is in the dream world. Now on the other side, Ravi, who is a young person who is in his 20 years, who is about 20 years old. He is working as a software engineer, and from the last couple of days, he has been working rigorously on a program that he has worked. And there are some bugs or something, so he's working late in the nights also. So he was working a couple of days, and no positive results were coming, and suddenly his body also is very tired. It collapses and he goes into sleep, deep sleep in the office only. So now Ravi's soul, which is a part of Urmi's soul in originality, also enters into the dream world. Now even Ravi also, in his majority of his dreams, he used to have a dream where a woman was crying, and some strange woman was crying, and he could feel that he was the reason for her sorrow or whatever the state she is in, and he wanted to help her, but he couldn't help in any way. He doesn't know how to help, and every time the dream ends there and he wakes up. So now he's also in the dream world, and the dream was again coming. Now suddenly both Urmi's soul and Ravi's soul will hear the voice of Hanumanji, and a deep baritone echoing voice with a lot of love and compassion. And both the souls see this beautiful light emanating between them. And Hanumanji blesses both of them. They could feel his touch and warmth. And suddenly a flash of light happens, and the scene finishes there. And Ravi, wakes up, and his colleagues were telling Ravi that you need to go and sleep in your house. Just go to home now, leave the office. And on the other side, Urmi also wakes up, and she says that am I still dreaming? And because she sees Hanumanji in front of her. And suddenly Hanumanji says that no, Urmi, you're not dreaming. I am right now standing in front of you. And I have visited the community after 41 years. And listening to that, Urmi, suddenly she goes into shock with seeing her dream, seeing that she's no more in dream world, and Lord Hanuman was physically standing in front of her. And she actually chokes at the vision of Hanumanji. And she even she knows that something has happened in the dream world, and she tries to remember scenes. But Hanumanji here says that a soul usually brings very, very minute memories of dreams back to the human world. And even though we try to remember it, but after some time, instantly everything is wiped away fast, because soul doesn't want you to remember. It's no more required for you at that point. So now Hanumanji says Urmi to just get up from the tree. And what happened here in the dream world is that the soul of Urmi, which was carrying 6 tea strings from herself and 7 tea strings from the monk's M7 tea strings got into the body of Ravi. And Ravi, who was having the original part of Urmi's soul, merged with the Urmi's soul. And Urmi just the merging happened, and the soul got united with the other part. So now very, very casually, Ravi got up and from the sleep, and he started doing his work normally in his office. And he has no idea that he had any past life connection with this tribal woman called Urmi, or the soul integration process happened in dream world under the guidance of Hanumanji. Nothing. So the part of the what do you say? Ravi has just went on to goes on doing his original work, and he has no idea of it. So then next, Hanumanji says that Urmi has a discussion with Hanumanji, saying that Hanumanji, everything happened so fast and you are very fast. And because for Urmi, everything was like just, she felt like she just slept and she just got up. And Hanumanji also, funnily says with Urmi that you are too fast, you are much faster than me. But the underlying wisdom what Hanumanji wanted to give here was that the soul can travel anywhere. There is no time limit for the soul, or it's not bound by the time. And the soul can travel as far as it can travel, or much faster than it can travel. It all depends on the concept of the karma and desire. The what do you say? I said, na, every soul wears a clothing called karma and desire before it starts living a character. So the amount of karma and desire each soul is having determines the travel of the soul in the astral world. So while he was explaining this to Urmi, suddenly Hanumanji feels the presence of the god of death, Yama, near him. Now Hanumanji thinks that what happened? Why is this? Why is Yama lingering around? Because he doesn't come just like that, right? Only if there is a death, then you can feel his presence. So Hanumanji starts to, work around. He goes into the inner world, checks the timelines, T strings, because he wants to check that why is he here? What went wrong? What is this, any side effect for the soul exchange that has just happened? What that happened in the dream world, or what was the reason for the omnious presence of Hanuman here? Now Ashwin twins who were also there, they go to Yama, the god of death, and ask him that what are you doing, Yama? Because you just don't come here. So who is near to the death? Which soul? And Yama, with a very low baritone voice, says that it's Urmi. Now Ashwin twins, immediately glance at Urmi and turn around Yama and say that, don't you see that Urmi is in the presence of none other than the protector of all universe himself, Hanumanji. She is his disciple. How dare you even come near her? So Yama says that there is no indifferentiation here. And I don't think so Hanuman will also obstruct what is destined to her. And he won't. So you don't worry about it. So then Ashwin twin says that you're talking about destiny. So she is under the secure shadow of Hanumanji, and nothing can happen. The destiny itself will be changed. So then they say that Yama says that how long she'll be under his protection. So there will be a point that is there, because that is her destiny and that is what it is there in the timeline. So then the Ashwin twin says that we are here along with Hanumanji to defeat every cause that might result in her death. We'll change the destiny and we'll work towards it. Then Yama says that, see, I'm here with respect to destiny and let the destiny takes its course. I don't want to argue with you, nothing. So whatever you want to do, you do, but here I've come to do my job. So immediately Hanumanji checks into the inner worlds. He finds out everything. Now he knows the reason what has happened and how to prevent that also. Now he immediately calls up Urmi, and Urmi is in a state of trance by seeing Hanumanji. She's completely lost in devotion. And suddenly, on hearing Hanuman's voice, she opens her eyes and she gets up. And Hanumanji immediately says to Urmi that, Urmi, I want you to learn something. And please learn it quickly, because I'm afraid you have very little time. But I'm very, very confident that you will master it. And Urmi says that, little time, what do you mean by little time, Deva? Then Hanumanji immediately starts implementing the wisdom to Urmi. Then he says that, he points to one of the women, tribal woman who is there. And he shows his hands towards the tribal woman and says that, look at that woman there. And she is also having a mortal body like you. She is also in the physical human body like you. And but what is the difference? She can't see me, but you can see me. How? And for that, immediately Hanumanji himself only answers that, you are a very powerful soul, Urmi. Ignorance is weakness and knowledge is power. You are more powerful than millions of other souls right now who is sharing this planet with you. And only few of them can feel my presence around them. But none of them can even see me. But you are seeing me. So what is it telling about your soul? That you are a evolved, powerful soul. And then he says to Urmi that, look at that bird, Urmi. He points at a pigeon at a nearby tree. And he says that, it can fly, but why can't you fly? Then Urmi was able to answer. I mean, she's there right now in front of Hanumanji and trying to listen what Hanumanji is trying to say to her. Then Hanumanji says that, that bird is able to fly, but why can't you? Because your body can't fly because it has limitations. There is a, what anatomical structure which is required for your body to fly. An energy, mechanism for your body to fly. But you are not the body, you are a soul. So you can leave your human body and take up that body of the bird if you want to. And you can experience that flight of that bird and how much ever time you want, and you can come back to this body. There are beautiful movies with this concept in our past black and white movies, where you see, they use this word called parakaya pravesham in Telugu. I don't know what they say in other languages, but they say that the soul can take whatever body it want, experience that body, through that body, and just come back to its original body. So that's what Hanuman is trying to say here. Now, when Hanuman is trying to tell Urmi with respect to the bird, somehow Urmi did not get connected with it, and a different thought came into Urmi's mind. And she says that this bird thing, okay, I'm somewhere, I don't want to do it, but I can change my body, and I can leave my body of this Urmi and enter into the body of the king of this land, and I will punish everyone who is destroying this jungle, and I'll imprison every person who is acting with respect to greed and is spoiling this environment. Now, immediately Hanumanji says that, no, Urmi, again, don't fall into that trap. And the kind of thoughts that you're having, these kind of thoughts, exactly this kind of thoughts, whichever you have got right now, is keeping human beings trapped in their bodies. So let me explain it further. And he says that whatever you have thought right now, that thought is coming out of your mind because you believe that a king is more powerful than an ordinary person. And you're judging and making assumptions against the people who live outside the jungle. You don't know anything about them, but you're judging them. You're making assumptions against them. And you're believing that a king is very powerful than an ordinary person. And you think that by punishing or by having this, doing this act of punishing, it will help in better governance. And that will, you believe that because of that, the environment will be saved. So all these ideas of, power, weakness, generosity, greedy, punishment, reward, destruction, conservation, all these ideas of opposites is keeping you limited to the identity of a human. They are caging you, they are imprisoning you in this human body. Yes, you can stick to these notions while you are living a scene in the human life. But to free your soul, you must be freeing yourself of anything that is making you to come back to this identity of human called Urmi. So you need to let go of your beliefs. You need to let go of what you like, what you dislike, everything, your attitudes, everything. You need to let go of them. But only when you let go of them, then only you can free yourself from this human body. Otherwise, you are detached, you are attached to this human body. You can't separate yourself. So now Urmi understood because she had a first-hand experience earlier where Hanumanji took her to nothing, took the soul of Urmi to nothingness. So somewhere that wisdom, that experience is there, and Urmi immediately caught what Hanumanji was telling, that she needs to stop identifying herself with Urmi, the character of Urmi, the thoughts, the beliefs, the likes and the dislikes of Urmi. Now, because Urmi also somewhere, even though she, she always experienced this duality in herself, because she on one side believed completely in following the rules of her community very strictly, to be adherent to these rules or to the beliefs or to the society that she's living in. And she also enforced other people to stick to the rules also. But a part of her always thought that, how are these monks or these people living in this world remaining detached from the opposites of life? They don't see anything as good or bad. They don't say this is right, this is wrong. They don't, behave nicely with a person who is very rich in society or very powerful in a society, or behave differently with a person who is poor or who is ill health, or who is going through some kind of tragedy in his life, or is going through some kind of disease in his life or in her life. They behave equally with both the persons because they are always in a state of nothingness. But somewhere I'm identifying myself to a part of this duality, not away from this duality. So then Hanumanji says that you must realize the potential of your soul, Urmi. So don't be like millions of your fellow humans who are somewhere trapped with respect to their body, with respect to their emotions and their human mind. So don't be one of them. And immediately Urmi says that I surrender to you, Deva. I'm ready to go whichever path you want me to follow. I'm completely in surrenderance to you now. And Hanumanji says that, okay, Urmi, do you remember a short while ago, at least a hint of a memory, you would have remembered that we were in a dream world. Then Urmi says that, yes, I know that I was in a dream world. I can have that memory that something happened in that dream world. And I know that my soul leaves the body in the state of unconsciousness or in deep or in during the time of sleep. So then Hanumanji says that, have you ever wondered how your soul can travel millions of miles in no time? Then Urmi says that, yes, Deva, I have received that knowledge from Baba, who was the head of the Matang tribe. He has given this wisdom to Urmi that a soul can travel anywhere in this entire universe. We call it as astral travel. A soul can travel how much far is it possible just in a fraction of a second. So provided if it is not burdened by the karma and the past desires. The karma and the desire clothing that the soul is wearing, if it's very heavy, then the soul can't travel much to a much farther place. It is stuck somewhere. So every time, the soul wants to go into dream, liberate itself from this karma and desire packets. So that is how, you get all these different kind of dreams, I think. That's what Hanumanji is telling. So these packets of karma and desire will determine your astral travel. So because these packets of karma and desire as we have talked in chapter 3, where Hanumanji says that these are the two things or the two building blocks of your entire identity. Your beliefs, your passions, your likes, your dislikes, everything are coming because of these two things: the karma, the actions that you do, and the desires that you have. So here Hanumanji says that I don't compare you with gods who can travel to any corner of this universe, but I feel that you are better than the average person in the community. So stretch your bodies, stretch your soul's power, Urmi, and don't squeeze yourself. Don't squeeze under the identity of Urmi. Stretch yourself and break that barrier. So then Urmi says that, okay, now I understand that you're telling me to come out of this human, what is this physical body of mine. So she asks now Hanumanji that, how is it like leaving the body? Is it going to be, how am I going to feel it? Am I going to be in a state of dream where I'm going through random scenes? Is it painful? How is it, Hanumanji? Just tell me. So Hanumanji then says that there is nothing to fear about. Death is the most amazing experience, the most fulfilling experience a soul can have. It liberates the soul from many things. So don't ever feel, or whenever you hear that word death, don't be fearful, because it's an amazing experience a soul is gonna have towards the end. So then Hanumanji says that, just imagine that you are wearing a pile of colorful clothes that are, lying in front of you. And imagine that your body is also like one of the clothes that you have worn. I mean, your soul is wearing that piece of clothing called human body. So when you free yourself from it, you will have number of other clothes, different clothes to wear. And according to your karma and desire packet and your own choosing, you will go to one that is most suitable for you. That is as simple as death is. Nothing painful or nothing traumatic. When Hanumanji says about this, then Urmi says that, okay, Deva, I'm submitting myself to the desire of freeing myself from this present body. And I want, or I seek guidance from you to how to do it. Then immediately Hanumanji starts telling a story to Urmi. He says that, let me tell you a story about a king. And Hanumanji is trying to tell this story to Urmi because he's imparting a great wisdom through this story. So when you say some words, especially in respect to spirituality, it becomes very dense, very heavy. So when we try to put it around a story, we try to relate it in some or the other way. So by this story, Hanumanji is trying to give Urmi and also for the readers of this book an important essential wisdom. So now this particular story goes like this, that there is a king who has an amazing, marvelous palace, very beautiful palace. And he would invite guests from other kingdoms just to show how beautiful of an architecture that he has done and beautiful creation that he is having or is owning, which is his priciest and most important possession of his, where he flaunts about. So the king has children also, he has a family, but if he was given a chance to choose between his children and the palace, this king will no doubt, even for within a second, will choose the later. He loves his palace. So that much attachment he has towards this palace, to that architecture that he has built with lot of love, with lot of energy and everything, whatever is invested in it. So, and it is also one of the most beautiful home anyone can have. That is the truth also. So one day what happens is that a sage who was wandering through his kingdom comes to his palace, and he was offered food by the king, and he starts eating the food. And since he was offered food, he wanted to help the king. Now the sage, he tries to calculate the future of his host based on the, excuse me, future of the host based on the knowledge the sage has with respect to the karma and the desire. So the sage has this knowledge with respect to karma and desire. So according to that, he calculates and he finds that one thing, and he tells to the king that, oh, great king, you have fed me the food, so I'm gonna give you a boon, and I have just calculated your what do you say, the future and with respect to your karma and desire, and I see that your home will be burned to ashes this Saturday, this coming Saturday. Your entire home is gonna burn to ashes. So immediately when the king heard about this, he was like dumbstruck, and he immediately fell under the feet of sage and begged him that, sage, please give us a remedy also, please help me. Then the sage says that, you must let go of this palace if you want to save it. You must forget about this palace completely. You can go and live in a hut, in a small hut in a jungle till Saturday. And after Saturday, you can come back to your palace. But till that Saturday, when you're living in that hut in the jungle, not even a single emotion should touch your soul where you're thinking about this palace. You should completely stop thinking about this palace, detach yourself from this palace, and go and live in a hut till Saturday. Now the king started crying because this remedy is looking much more horrible than what the sage has told just now about the destruction of the palace. So now the sage understood the king's dilemma, and he explains why he told that remedy. Then he says that, king, oh child, don't cry, because the destiny is that your home shall be burnt. It's not necessary your palace. So if you give up your palace only till Saturday and make something else as your home, your new home will be burnt, not this palace. That is the logic I want to give it to you. So go and stay in the hut till that time. So whatever is there in your destiny where your home is going to be burnt, that hut is going to be burnt. This palace is going to be nice. Nothing will happen to this palace. So now the king saw a hope in what the remedy that was told by the sage. And he sees a rational, now the king starts using his rational human mind. Now he employed all whatever rational human mind he has, and he starts to find solutions accordingly what sage has told. And he wanted an approval from the sage. So then now the king starts saying to the sage that, oh sage, okay, now I understood, but it is also impossible for me to give up my attachment to this palace. I always think of this palace every minute and every second. The moment I get up from this place, the first sleep, the first thought that comes into my mind is about this palace. So I always think about this palace every minute. So I was thinking that if I take some powerful sedative just before Saturday, maybe Friday night, or just before Saturday starts happening, there would be a chance that my emotions might not surface. I might go into a very deep sleep. So technically I won't have any home on Saturday because my soul is in the dream world. So, and as per your calculations, my soul will definitely have a dream, a house in the dream world where I'm living in that house in the dream world. And that day in that dream, that house will be burnt. And my palace here in the human world would be remain untouched. What if I can do like that? Then the sage simply said that if that would be an easier solution, I would have given you that solution in the first instance only. But according to my calculations, your home in the human world shall burn, not in the dream world. So you have no other choice. You have to follow what I have to say, what I have said to you, if you want to save your palace. So the sage, after eating the food and saying all these things, he takes leave from the king and he goes. But the king could not move even an inch from his palace. But instead of what the sage has told to him, instead of thinking and working with respect to that, he immediately puts all his energy and mind and emotion and everything towards securing the palace from the fire. So he orders all the workers to remove everything that could possibly create fire. He brings loads and loads of water and sand, and he deploys a huge army in front of his palace. And everything, all these things were happening till Saturday. Now Saturday came, and the enemy, which that is going to destroy his palace, it came very early in the morning in the most unexpected way. There was huge thunder lightning that was happening, and that lightning immediately struck the entire palace, and the entire palace collapsed, and there was fire in the whole palace. And it also collapsed the pride of the owner. Now, here I am telling the story to you, specifically Urmi, that here the king could not detach himself from his possessions. But you, Urmi, being from the community of my disciples, Matang tribe, who are very, very dear to me, you already practice detachment in your day-to-day life. Every day you practice detachment. So it will be very easy to you to get detached from this human body of yours. So, he says that is how this entire tribe is practicing detachment and everything. And then Urmi says that, what is that one possession that you're asking me to give up, Hanumanji? Because you told me the story, I understood. Now I feel like I have to detach myself from one of the possessions. So what is that possession that I need to detach myself right now? Then Hanumanji says that I'm asking you to detach yourself from your body. You need to give up all your attachments with your body if you want to save it. Then she asks that what is the danger that is going to happen if I'm not going to do it? Then Hanumanji says that it's going to be the death of you, Urmi. So now Urmi feels very frightened listening to that word. Even though she's under the direct protection or under the presence of Hanuman, the man who can defeat the death, or the godly presence that can defeat the death, who gives us courage, who gives us strength. But hearing to that word, Urmi lost her balance on the earth. And what happens later, and how Hanumanji helps Urmi to go through this process of detaching the body, detaching the soul from the body, and how Hanumanji is going to help Urmi save herself, and how the destiny takes its course, nothing is interfered, and how Yama gets tricked into this process, and finally Urmi stays alive. How it's gonna happen is gonna be the rest of the story. We'll discuss it in the next section. Yeah, thank you, masters. So any questions or any sharings, please do. Yeah, Prashantji can unmute you.
Thank you, madam. It was a very nice session. Actually, I joined late, but got very good information about the astral travel. Like any procedure to follow that astral travel regarding that.
Okay. Your voice was not clear, sir. I somehow lost in the last.
Okay. Like it was very good session, ma'am. Very informative.
Yes.
And can you just tell about the astral travel thing? Like if a beginner has to begin, like how he has to proceed.
Oh, you're asking me how the astral travel happens.
Huh.
Oh, that's what happens, is that all your dreams are your astral travel. So the moment you are in your deep sleep, your soul leaves your body, and it goes into astral travel. So there is nothing much you can't. That is very inherent of the soul to go into astral travel. So there's nothing much that is done. You don't need to do any special procedure. That's what Hanumanji says. And when you read Sri M books also, there also he says that, first experience when he had Master Sri M, when you read when I first read his Himalayan Masters book, in that he mentioned that, when he just got up, when he started to go through this meditative process, one fine day when he was sitting on the top of his terrace, he saw that there are sparks of light coming out of from each house. and he didn't know what it was. So when he met his guru, then his guru said that every night the soul leaves the body. Soul goes into astral travel. So whatever is necessary for the soul with respect to its knowledge, its wisdom, its evolutionary process, it will go through that necessary experiences that are required in the astral world. So that's how it happens. It's very natural process. That's what it is told.
Yeah, madam. Thank you. But one thing, madam, like how to remember, like we can remember like small instances, but after the dream, if we write it down, we'll remember that pain. But it get washed off over the time.
Sometimes we do remember immediately when you get up from the sleep. There are glimpses of your dream that you remember, but I don't think so. What's the use, or what are you gonna do by remembering that dream?
Actually, the thing is, it gives some hints about the future. Like I recently things like probable like incidents or person will be meeting, like that, or places will be going through, like small hints.
Yeah, that is true. I think first one thing that every enlightened master will say is that don't analyze your dreams. But if you are at that stage where you can understand your dream status, where you know that completely about your dream status, where you are aware of your dream also completely, as if you're living your dream in a wakeful state, then when you are living at that consciousness level, at that energy level, that analyzing of dream would definitely help. But before that, till you reach at that spot of time, maybe you can take some guru's help on that if it's necessary. Otherwise, I don't see any use of analyzing the dreams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam, this session will be shared in YouTube, ma'am, special tablet.
Yes, sir. All the recordings are in the YouTube, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Vindhya, ma'am.
Hi, Ravli, ma'am. Thank you. I missed your previous one. You're like Hanumanji, and I don't know when you appear, when you don't. So I was lucky today to join and see. And of course, your background, I know it was there before, but it's so beautiful. It's like we are Matang tribe and you are guiding us. So thank you very much. What a beautiful, it's such a difficult and topic, in dense topic, like you said, death and attachment, and with such simple stories the book has explained, and you in your simple way how you connect with it, you have shared with us. I feel we're so lucky to hear this. I have read about dreams before and astral travel, but this was very simple with, that story of Mahesh or whatever it was explained very simply. And a lot of things, even death, how he explains with the story of the king, and how much ever the sage explains to the king, he still doesn't let go. And we all are like that, even though we are gaining all this knowledge. I think when that time comes, it may still be difficult. So practice every day to let go. So a lot of important lessons. I really want to get this book now. I think I'll get that Immortal Talks. Thank you. 1 hour didn't even feel like it was an hour. I'm still trying to listen to you. So thank you very much. Thank you for giving us this.
Thank you, Vindhya, ma'am. Thank you. It's all because this is one first book I read after my meditation. Nothing went into my mind, and suddenly somehow this book was popping. You read Immortal Talks, you read. So when I started to read now after 2 years, when I first read it, everything was like so dense. I was like, how did I miss this wisdom? Nothing went in. So I thought, if energies of Hanuman will be with me, I can explain it to people in how much ever way I can, whatever I understood. And I think somewhere is helping me from behind. Nothing is possible without that energies. I think that's the thing. So much wisdom, it's very intense wisdom. Yeah, that is today.
And I think the timing is so right. I just need this wisdom at this time when I'm with my parents and others. It helps me to even somehow, even if I talk, I might talk with this understanding. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Part8.
Sir? Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Knowledge was very nice. I joined late actually. I would like to have all your previous videos also. I would like to see. would like to get added in your WhatsApp group so that I can regularly follow this.
Definitely.
And, yeah, thanks. Actually, my question is, if the soul leaves the body during astral travel, what will happen to the physical body? Like when they say that when the soul leaves the body dies actually. So if it goes for astral travel, then physical body, what will be the state like?
So in this body, there is one thing that is told is that whenever you go into your deep state in your sleep, when the soul leaves your physical body and you enter into this astral world, that is the only time where the soul can detach itself from the physical body. Now you're saying that once the soul leaves the body is going to die. So for that, in earlier chapter, Hanumanji says that the soul can leave the body and come back to the body. Even sometimes, I'll explain to you. Even sometimes in a deep meditative state also this process happens where the soul detaches from the physical body and enters into this astral plane. And the soul is somewhere connected to this physical body through a string that is attaching from the center or from the Manipuraka chakra. So it is attached to the physical body. And that's how it is connected to the physical body, how much ever far it goes, in whatever the world it is. The moment that attachment is cut from the physical body, that cord, you say, that energetic cord that connects the soul with the physical body, if that is detached, then the body is going to die. And there is another thing which Hanumanji says here in this book is that even though the soul leaves the body, until and unless the prana or the vital force energy, it can still keep your body alive. It happens in certain conditions where, the person is declared dead or he's in a deep comatic state. But after some time, the person wakes up. So it is requests the god of wind, the Vayu god, saying that you immediately leave the body because I want this person to die. And there he gives an explanation that the prana is the vital force energy that keeps the body alive, even when the soul is moved away from the body for a very long time. So only it leaves the body, then only the body is gonna die. And there is an energetic cord connection between the human physical body and the soul, which is the energy part of you. Unless and until that connection is there, nothing can happen to your human body, and the soul can travel as much as far into the deep realms of different dimensions. Yeah.
Thanks. And one more question, like in they say astral projection and astral travel both are same, right? Astral projection and astral
pretty
both
much.
are same. Okay. And
all your dreams are astral travels. All your dreams are astral travels.
Okay. And it is not necessary for us to know what is happening there, because I don't recollect any dreams as such. I go into deep sleep and get up fresh in the morning. That's more than enough with what's happening.
Right? That's what Hanuman is telling, is that, your desires and karma packets that are lingering onto your soul is preventing your soul to evolve to higher states. So in the dream world, what happens is that it tries to go through that experience and releases itself. It lightens you also. So you don't necessarily need to know every part of your dream. Only, when you reach that state where you are energetically connected with everything around you, that happens due to rigorous practice of meditation, where your pineal gland gets activated in that higher state. You get to remember, because there is some work that needs to be done through you. So for yourself and for the greater part of the welfare, sometimes your dreams need to be remembered. So that is the state where, automatically, masters will help you in any, or your soul itself will help you. But till that point, don't try to analyze your dreams. Just live in the present moment and wakeful state with full awareness, whatever. Let the dream world be in its own. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, what are these different planes? Like they say planes and this thing, right?
Even in your astral world, travel also, in your astral world also, you go through different planes. But that also is dependent upon how your emotional status is. See, sometimes when you are watching some really traumatic movies or something for last 1-2 days, or just before you're going to sleep, you'll see that, your dreams are also like that. So you're energetically pulled or to be at that level because your emotional state is at that level. Your karma and desire packets, I think you're desiring that, to how that experience might be somehow inherently, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. So you live through that experience and you just vanish after some time, after a few days, when you're not watching those movies or anything, you're not in that plane. So they say that there is a procedure before you go to sleep also. It's very important that the moment you get up from the bed is very important, and the moment you, or the time before you go to sleep is also very important, that you meditate for some time, do some whatever prayer you want, and try to eat half empty stomach and be in a very good mood before you sleep. So it also depends on your emotional status also, how you do that. I think dream world is little intense in a subject in itself. It's very vast. So I think this little thing will help you.
And vivid dreams and astral travel, difference is like what? I mean, how do we?
I would say that, all your dreams are astral travels, but not all astral travels are dreams. That is the one thing I would say. Because people experience astral travel in their deep meditation state also. They're very conscious about that travel. They know what they're doing, and they just open their eyes from that meditation. But not, what do you say, all astral travels are dreams. 100% of your dreams are astral travels. That is the truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a different world, like astral world always exists, and it's like a real world what we have here, right? What we see.
That is in another dimension. So we are in this third dimension, but there are many dimensions. There are fourth dimension, fifth dimension. So now Hanumanji is operating from fifth and sixth and seventh dimension. So each dimension, the reality is different. So yeah, they say you go into fourth dimension when you are in dream state. All your astral projections and everything happen in that dimension.
Okay. And our chakras are connected to those dimensions, like when we are in Sahasrara or we're in some other, chakras are connected to those dimensions?
I think there might be. My knowledge is little limited.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, masters, we'll just go for a 10 minutes of meditation and we'll finish the session. Whoever want to sit in meditation can sit. Just drink some water. Just relax your physical body.